Happy Tuesday. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Media Sports Show, back with another episode. So fans, please tune in. Everybody knows that about our Speaker app where you can ask questions to our guests. And we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Spreaker and all the podcast platforms. We are joined by a really special guest. Her name is Erin Mulligan. She's a talented writer, podcaster. Go check her out on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. She does an amazing job covering sports, and she has a podcast called the Section with Mulligan. We're gonna get into all of that. And Erin, thank you again for joining the show. It's truly an honor. And fans, please tune in, ask questions on our Speaker app. And Erin, thank you. And how are you and your family doing today?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, we're good. All good. It's nice weather in New Jersey. So yeah, everything's good.
Yeah, so tell our fans. Let's start off with how did you get into the podcasting world and the writer world? So tell our fans, how did Erin get into the writing and podcasting?
So I think I always loved sports, but then when I was about 5, it's kind of silly to say, but I started to like writing because of Taylor Swift, and I heard her singing when I was in the car with my mom, and I kind of just understood how creatively she was using her words and everything. And so I liked songwriting and creative writing. And then in 6th grade, one of our units in language arts was journalism. Mm-hmm. And we had that was February 2012. So we had to choose a current event to write about. So the Giants had just won the Super Bowl, and then so I raised my hand really, really fast, and I said, "Can I cover their win?" And my teacher said, "Yeah," and I did it. And then it was a big deal after you hand in your paper that if you were shown up on the projector, it was a big deal. And so she showed mine, and I got an A. But my teacher came over to my desk after she handed them all back to everybody, and she said, "Erin, please don't stop, doing this. It was really good. It was almost like professional." And it didn't really like register with me, but I said okay. And I kept taking journalism classes as electives in middle school, and then high school I stayed doing the newspaper, taking journalism, and then did the same in college. I just like to write. I think I get my thoughts out better, and I like to not insinuate, but add in creative writing into journalism because I think it's a little more enjoyable to read.
Yeah, what was that like when when your teacher gave you the opportunity to cover the Giants that time? And what was that like, the opportunity like for you?
It was really exciting. I mean, it wasn't like I could go ask the players for quotes or anything, but I feel like I was that little girl who was very girly, but I collected jerseys, and I liked collecting football cards and baseball cards. And I think at that point I was a little embarrassed that I remember there was a boy in my class. We all had to pick a book to read, and he picked Victor Cruz's biography, and I wanted to pick that. But I was a little embarrassed because I was a girl, and I didn't really want him to be like, "Oh, well, do you even know who Victor Cruz is?" And I don't know, I didn't pick it, but I did obviously read it. But then I covered that, and I said, no, I think, I think I can do this. And I didn't get any negative feedback from any of the, like, a lot of the boys in my class really liked my article because that you go around and you share your stories with everybody, and everybody reads each other's work, and they really liked it. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was really exciting. I think that started it. I mean, when I was like 6, I think I wanted to be a sports reporter, but I realized that I could actually pursue it, and it could go pretty far.
Yeah, and we can already tell by looking at your work, you're doing an amazing job, and obviously covering sports and having your podcast. And speaking of women reporters, and I'm big into women in sports, and I have 3 mentors in this industry right now with Tina Cervasio and Amy Trask, and the other one being Ryan Field. But for you, who did you look up to when it came to women reporters?
Since I was 6, Erin Andrews.
Okay.
I think that because that was the moment that I realized I wanted to do that. I was sitting with my dad on the couch watching a game, and it sort of clicked with me. I was little, but I understood that she was on the field with the players, with the coaches, and she was the first one to give everybody information, which is one of my pet peeves. If somebody breaks news to someone, it doesn't matter how little the news is. Maybe it's gossip, I don't know. But I want to be the first
Yeah.
one to do it, to relay the information. And that clicked with me from her. Plus we have the same name, so I loved that. And so yeah, since I was really little, Erin Andrews, and then as I've gotten older, I'd say Sage Steele, Diana Rossini, Sam Ponder. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a good, you know, just there's really great female reporters. Meredith Morakovitz,
Yeah.
I think she does a really. I think with Meredith, she has the full trust from every Yankee.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important. And I love watching that on TV because sometimes you can tell when an athlete doesn't feel comfortable with the reporter, and all of them seem so comfortable with her and trust her, and they can sort of open up. Even DJ LeMahieu, who doesn't show any type of emotion,
Yeah.
yeah, she can get information out of him, which is huge. So yeah, those
I mean,
women, I'd say.
When it comes to Meredith, and you can tell from the post game shows and post game interviews, and even the playoffs, like when they get her involved in the champagne showers, you can see
No.
it, and it's amazing to see how connected they are with her, and she's amazing at what she does, and that's really important, especially being a reporter like that, and then doing every interview, and you got to build that connection, and that's amazing what she's doing with the Yankees players.
Yeah, I think they almost sometimes in certain situations and environments, they look at her almost as another player in a
Yeah.
way. Somebody maybe on the bench or whatever, because they wouldn't just pour the champagne on her if they didn't really respect her or uh, trust her.
Yeah, so and also by breaking news, you got to be like you got to beat Adam Schefter and beat all these other reporters quick.
Yeah,
The news that's the same game plan with us. We try to break news before they do, but it's kind of hard. But
it is kind of hard. Yeah, and you have to make sure you get consent from the players because he's had a whole debacle with Rogers, which is kind of funny to watch.
yeah, so tell our fans about your college career. You graduated recently, 2022 with Monmouth University. Talk about your experience there, and you studied media studies, production, and also you do music. You have a music blog too. But talk about your college career there. And I had a good friend that went to Monmouth. His name is Demetrius Smith. He played football there.
Oh.
But yeah, the brother of J.R. Smith. But talk about your college experience at Monmouth.
Yeah, sure. I Monmouth was the only school that I applied to, and I got in, which thank God. But I planned on going into the music industry program because I don't know, I just felt like I was being stupid when I was a senior. I just wanted to work on Taylor Swift's team or like travel with Harry Styles or something. And I thought it was going to happen immediately. And so I was like, no, I'll go into music business or something in that realm. And every time I would do that, I just felt it felt wrong because I loved sports so much and I loved telling sports stories. And I just didn't really understand why people don't like sports.
Yeah.
And, but anyways, I went freshman year, I'm there. Well, actually, I went to orientation first, and my orientation leader was in the sports casting. That was his concentration in communications. And I went back to my dorm room that night and I called my mom and I said I have to change my major, and she said that she knew it, but she never said anything because she wanted me to figure it out.
Oh,
But yeah, that's when I realized it. And then so I went in freshman year. I was still undecided because I was like, am I really going to pursue this? I was scared to go on TV and everything because college is so
yeah.
intimidating. And I was petrified of everything. I didn't want to make new friends or anything. I liked the small group of friends I had from high school, and I'm very introverted, so I just did not like the whole
Hmm.
experience at first. And then I think I realized, I wanted to pick. So I went into PR first. It was a cluster major, PR and journalism. And that felt safe for me because it was behind the scenes and it was, business and it was writing, which I was comfortable with. And then I went home one weekend and I saw my family, and two of my aunts were like, okay, so you're doing PR. And so like, what is that? One of my aunts said, and the other one was like, well, it's the behind the scenes stuff and they work with everybody. oh God, I
Uh,
don't want to be behind the scenes. And I went back to school that Monday, and I changed my major to radio and TV, whatever they want. They've changed the major name a bunch of times. But yeah, and I changed it, and then immediately that spring semester I got involved with Hawk TV, which is a television station on campus, and then I did a little bit with WMCX. The radio station, and then with the Outlook, which was the newspaper. I wrote for entertainment and for sports for them. And yeah, and then COVID hit, and that's when I really got things going with the dissection. My dad was like, "Oh, well, I said to him, I said, I have all these ideas. If I were to get an internship or a job, I would pitch these ideas." And he said, "Well, you don't have an internship or a job, so why don't you just do it yourself?" And I said, "Okay." And that's what I did. So I like music and sports, so it's my own platform. So I write about everything that I like, and yeah, that's when I mean, I had obviously had time to do it and focus on it, and that's what I did. And it I'd like to have a larger audience, but it's
yeah,
fun and it gives me experience and it gives me something to put on my resume. And I've interviewed some really fabulous people um, through it, posting on YouTube and different things, and really cool experiences from it. And yeah, so I ultimately, COVID was very strange in college, and it was like hybrid classes, it was
yeah,
Zoom, and I think we didn't go back. I don't know. We got evacuated so abruptly, and then we didn't go back till probably, I think, yeah, it was the fall semester of my senior year. Finally, it was all in person, and so it was strange, and I didn't get to physically go to games and cover them because of all the
yeah,
different protocols. But I thought it was great. I wanted to transfer so many times just because I didn't like being away from home, which is kind of a wussy thing to say because I was only an hour away. But I'm so happy that I stayed there for the program. There's so many schools that aren't as hands-on as Monmouth. I mean, by senior year, I was a producer on 2 shows, a co-producer. I was an on-air talent. I worked in the control room. I planned out everything obviously as a producer, and then I was sports editor of the newspaper. So it was so rewarding. It was a lot. I definitely got burnt out at some points, but it was okay. I really don't regret anything because it was a lot of great experience, and I had really wonderful professors helping me out.
well, yeah, Monmouth is a great sports program, and they have a great soccer team, basketball, football. We had the opportunity to cover the women's soccer team in Monmouth, and
Oh,
they're an amazing team, and Kylie Flynn, a great coach with that team. And but for you, what were the like the best moments for you at Monmouth University, and what do you take from those best moments and to take where you're at right now as a writer?
probably sorry, there's a bug in here.
Oh,
uh, I'd say I was just so excited. I'll never forget when my first article as editor got published. That was very exciting to me. And I have way too many copies of every newspaper in my house. Bothers my mom a lot. But I'd say when I interviewed Bryce Wasserman, well, he's retired now, but he was a pro lacrosse player. And I'm not totally familiar with pro lacrosse, but he had just won their Super Bowl, their championship, and he got MVP, and he went to Monmouth. So I interviewed him because that was during COVID. We were so desperate for anything because there was no sports to cover. So we were doing a lot of feature pieces and everything. And I interviewed him, and he was so nice. And it was a really awesome story to cover his whole journey from Monmouth to professional lacrosse. And I also got to interview AJ Farris, who was the center at Monmouth, and he's a really nice guy. We had a really great conversation. He's very intelligent, both on the field and off. And he's got a great story too. I interviewed Chris Hogan, who went to Monmouth for a little
yeah,
bit, but
yep.
he wants to roll with the Patriots, and he's also from my hometown. So that was really cool to interview him. And yeah, aside from like the organizations there, I did interview uh Reggie White Jr.,
Hmm,
who used to be on the practice squad for the Giants. um that was a really interesting
wow.
experience because I had to physically chase him by foot.
Hmm.
Ran after him. And because I was at a football game and I was sitting in the stands and I texted my dad, I think, and I was like, I think Reggie White's here.
Mhm.
And my dad called me from work and he started yelling on the phone, but my dad's just very passionate
Right.
talker, so he wasn't yelling at me. So he was like, you gotta go interview him. And I was like, all right. They say it's a medium-sized school.
Mhm.
I think it's
But
a small school
it's small.
because yeah, it's you know everybody pretty much for the most part, and you know everyone who's at least in your major. So I was like, I don't want to run down in the bleachers and have all my classmates see me like yelling at this kid. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. It was almost halftime. He started walking towards the way of the locker room, and I thought, oh, maybe he's going in there with him. He's gonna say some words or something. I thought that's what he was doing, but he started going a different way. And so I ran down the bleachers and then into the concourse by the concession stands and everything. And I ran, and in the Monmouth section, there's a humongous gate that you have to open to get out to where the opposing team leaves. And so there's always someone guarding that. And I was running and I was like, open the gate, open the gate. And they opened it and I ran and he kept going straight. I thought he was going to go to the parking lot. He didn't. So I stood there. There's a bunch of barricades. You have to have passes to get onto the field, obviously. And so I just stood there and I yelled his name and he looked at me and I froze. So I just waved at him. And then he thought he knew me, I think. And he started looking and I was like, can I interview you? And he couldn't hear me. So he started walking towards me.
Oh wow.
Was this person guarding these barricades. I said, can I come through? And he wasn't really paying attention to me, so I just walked through. And I was like, hi Reggie, I'm a sophomore here, can I interview you for my blog? And he was like, oh yeah, sure. And he was so nice.
Wow.
I don't remember where he's playing now. I don't know if it's Canada in the Canadian League. He's played a couple places, but he was so nice to me and he was so genuine. And that was definitely one of the biggest memories I have from mom. It wasn't in the classroom or anything, but yeah, it was good experience.
Hey, sometimes you got to chase for an interview, so that's
Yeah, by foot. Yeah.
yeah. So speaking of Reggie White Jr., though, yeah, I read some of his story as a good story, and what did you take out of from that interview, and what did you learn from him as a player off the field and on the field?
Oh my gosh, he just came across as such a family-oriented guy. And that was evident because I had obviously watched him. My family and I started going to Monmouth games, I guess my junior and senior year, because I was looking at the school. And at first we thought he was related to the Reggie White
Yeah.
of the Packers. And we're like, oh my gosh, is he like in his family? So my dad was like, we have to go to the game. And so we went. And it just turns out that his dad is also Reggie White and also did play in the NFL, but he's not the Reggie White, everybody knows. And his dad was always at every game.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was so special. That was so nice. And he talked a lot about his family and in every other interview that you'll watch of him or article it'll mention his family. So that came across to me as, a huge thing about him, but also his work ethic. He was talking about everything and it's not exactly the easiest thing to make it into the NFL from Monmouth. Yes, it's D1, but it's a small school and it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there. But he was so willing to do it and he was so genuine about, yeah, I'm on the practice squad and I'm working really hard and he just wanted it so bad. So it was very inspiring just to talk to him. I know that he was a year prior to that we were you know going to school together basically, but all of a sudden he was this guy chasing a dream in football and professional football, which at any level is so difficult. And so the fact that he even got to be on the practice squad for the Giants, that was huge. It was so exciting. He made some really great plays in preseason, which was exciting to watch. And then, still that he's after it still. And that really that made an impact on me, his work ethic and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part about being a sports journalist or reporter like us. And just to have these players or whoever it is just to take time out of their day, probably like for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just to talk to us and then get a story out from them. It is just a great thing for them also, and then for us at the same time, where they can get their story out, and then we write a story about it so our fans can see. So it's the best thing for both sides, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, I agree because I feel like a lot of people who might not be sports fans, they look at athletes as maybe these dumb jocks or, oh, all they care about is sports and everything. But I think what's really special about being a sports reporter is that you can tell their whole story and tell them no, they train night and day, they eat the proper food that they need, and the recovery and everything. There's so much more to it that makes it so much more exciting to watch them out on the field. It's everything behind the scenes that we can talk about in a story that will get their story out and maybe make it relatable to another younger kid who wants that as well. So it's special.
We got a couple fan questions on my
Oh,
app.
okay.
So one of our fans wants to know, did he get to go to the Taylor Swift concert at MetLife Stadium?
No,
Oh,
I'm gutted. I got knocked off of the website the first time I tried to get tickets,
oh wow.
and I couldn't get back on. And then, like the second it got sold out, then the prices went to the minimum was $1,000. I said, I can't do it.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
gonna pay that. I've seen her twice before, which were outstanding and so special. I'll never forget them. But I did really want to go. I did really want to go. We drove to like as close as we possibly could to the stadium, and I listened to it. My mom was so good. She was like, I'll drive right past it. We could sit and all right, because New Jersey State Police was not letting anybody in, which I get because up in Foxborough they had a lot of problems, and so they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to have that happen here." And I get it, but yeah, I was gutted.
But at least you got to go somewhere near it, but you still heard her
Exactly.
sing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I heard her voice, and that was all right.
Another fan question here. They want to know, what's your favorite food?
Oh, that's really hard. I like any type of red meat,
Oh.
and I'll say pretty much any type of potato. Um, Pasta. That's a really hard question. I'll say steak and potatoes. That's like a good meal.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take one more fan question and we get back to the fan questions later. But one of our other fans wants to know, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
So many. I'll say Long Live, which is off of Speak Now. It's not really that popular of a song, but I like it a lot because it's basically a letter to her fans asking them to never forget about her. And she talks about please just always remember all the big lights at the concerts and singing and how we've always watched her and grown with her. Oh, I mean, like for me, I was 5 years old when she came out, and so we've like grown together in some ways. But I like that because it reminds me of my mom because growing up she would always play the music she likes, and so she exposed me to somebody like Bon Jovi, and so now we sing Bon Jovi in the car together all the time. And so in the song, Taylor says, show your kids the pictures of you from my concerts and tell them about me, please. And I just love that. I love that whole concept. So that was always my favorite because it was special to watch her career progress, from her playing on a small stage next to a little river in Tennessee and
Hmm.
to now, obviously the Eras tour is huge. So yeah, long live. That's my favorite.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what's it like working in the sports industry and mixing in with music also. And I feel like music and sports come together really smooth, and it's really important when it comes to athletes when they listen to music pre-game or whatever. And a lot of players get obviously we're dealing with a lot of mental health problems with these athletes, and I feel like music comes in um, around there, and it's really important to mix music and sports. So what's that been like for you, just to have that, and how important is it to have music in sports too?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy covering both things. It's a lot just because maybe a major trade is made on the same day
Yeah.
as an album is dropped. But I will post about both, and it's just fun. I like to dissect both things. If there's a major trade, say like Rogers, coming to the Jets and everything, and talking all about if this was always going to happen, or how this is going to play out, and then doing something like any kind of song, or a popular song, and maybe that celebrity, that singer is in a scandal right now or something, and what does the song mean to have it out. But yeah, I like writing about and talking about both topics. And for music with athletes, I think it is important because it does expose your personality, your identity. And I think music can ground somebody as well. I mean, it sounds really stupid, but sometimes when I listen to like Hannah Montana, during a time where maybe I'm anxious or stressed out, I feel more myself because that was what I used to love to listen to when I was little. And I think it can ground you. And I think it's important if that's a part of an athlete's pregame routine or something, they should, be able to listen to it, get them focused and everything. I think it does get people focused. And yeah, I think it's important, and it's cool because it also connects them with fans as well. Like especially when, say, Drake drops an
Mhm.
album, everybody loves Drake, and then all these athletes are like, oh my gosh, and then you kind of might even talk on social media with your favorite athlete about that album or something. And yeah, I think it's a great connector, a bridge between athletes and their game.
Yeah, I have a story for you actually that you can write up too. So quick, short, long story short, we covered the Sports Emmy Awards in New York a couple of weeks ago, and met this aspiring woman. Her name is Sasha Parendes. She's an actress, singer, journalist, and she has a new single coming out June 13th. And I'll send you her page, and
Yeah.
you can. I think you should. That'd be a good story for your music blog when she releases the album June 13th. And actually tonight she's making an appearance on my French Champion the Tramp podcast with Roger Matthews and Frank Yeager. So she'll be on that show tonight. But yeah, I'll send you her page so you can check it out. And so I feel like that would be a great story for you to write.
Oh yeah, thank you. And it's even when we're talking about music and sports, there's even athletes who are artists.
Yeah.
Like, you have one of the Giants who puts out his rap music on SoundCloud and everything. And then you've got somebody like Bernie Williams. Who would have thought that he would go from the
Yeah.
career that he had as a Yankee, and now he goes on tours with his music and everything, and then does the national anthem at Yankee Stadium. It's awesome. But you would never, I don't know, I don't think previously you would have thought that, maybe a decade ago even, that athletes could do both,
I
so
know
it's
it's made like Bernie Williams playing the guitar and
cool.
everything. It's amazing to see that, and um, and that's why, like I said, music is really important when it comes to sports and athletes. And I feel like they have they're in the right mindset when they listen to music or something. So
Yes, I agree.
so for you, when it comes to covering, what would you say your best game you've been to, or best game you covered, and most memorable interview outside of the Reggie White Jr. one?
Ooh, let's see. It's hard. I think I talked about a Yankee game I went to in, I think it was 2017, 2018. And it was just awesome because they went to, I believe, 12 innings, and I think it was Chase Headley hit a
Mhm.
walk-off home run. And to be in Yankee Stadium, not only 12 innings, but to see a walk-off hit, let alone a home run, was awesome. And yeah, I think I talked about that one time on my blog.
Mhm.
And yeah, aside from that, an interview, I loved talking to Brian Hoke. I know I'm talking about the Yankees a lot, but Brian Hoke, he for anybody who doesn't know, he is a beat writer, beat reporter for the Yankees. He's awesome. He has great stories, great advice. I really, he's a reporter that I want to be like, because he's also an author, so in his books, I've read all of them, and his personality is shown through his writing, which is so enjoyable to read. And same thing with his articles. They're easy to read, especially today when people have such short attention spans because of quick videos, say on TikTok and whatever. To read an article can be daunting to some people. And his are almost like he's talking to you, but it is professional journalism at the same time. So I just love how he writes. So when I interviewed him, he was talking about his personal relationship with Derek Jeter. I mean, like nobody gets to say that outside of players, So that was really cool to hear. He got to be there for the 2009 World Series, which is the last one that they won, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was awesome. He got to tell me that his wife, who was on the PR team for the Yankees, got a ring with her maiden name engraved on it. That was awesome too to hear about. And yeah, he had a lot of great stories. And next to him, probably Howard Cross. I interviewed Howard Cross. He's such a kind person, and he has great advice, and is just very open and genuine. He talks about, I mean, I love his draft story just because it's so nonchalant. He didn't even he thought he was going to become a banker or something in business, and he was drafted. He had no idea. Coach Parcells called him on the phone, and he didn't know who it was. He was like, so we're going to draft you. He's like, all right. And then he just started playing football. You would think, someone who had the career that he did, it would have been like, oh no, he was ready. He had a suit and everything ready. And no, it was just very unexpected. It's just an unexpected story that you wouldn't think. Yeah. Howard Cross is I've interviewed him twice, and he's been a great person to talk to.
Well, he made the right choice because he played with some great teammates, great players like Phil Simms, Leonard Marshall, and he had a great career too. And now he's doing a great job on the Giants broadcast
Yes.
with Bob Papa and I think it was Jonathan Casillas. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
um,
They're great.
yeah. Speaking of the Yankee, I can talk Yankees all day too because we're big Yankee fans also, and we cover their minor league teams, which is amazing experience for us covering Somerset and Scranton, and interviewing these prospects and and letting our fans know what Yankee fans should be excited about. And for you being a Giant fan and a Yankee fan, what do you like about this year's Yankees team and also the Giants so far being in OTAs and obviously getting Darren Waller on the team?
Yeah, I think Darren Waller is going to be great. I'll start with the Giants. I think they did great in the draft. I think this new center that they've got is going to be possibly the solution to the problem, because they obviously improved this past season, but it seems to always be the O-line that is the problem. And with a great reliable center, you can really get far in a game. And I just think next to a quarterback, I mean, you can make an argument for every other position, but I think the O-line, the center, is one of the most important positions on the field, because they anchor the quarterback. So if you have someone that the quarterback can rely on, which I think has been a real struggle for Daniel Jones, then they're going to be okay, and they're going to keep progressing. If you can get better than last season, it's only going to go farther. And then within the next few years, and I'll say a decade, hopefully another Super Bowl, because they can just keep building on top of all these moves that they're making. I think Darren Waller and Bellinger, to have those two tight ends, oh my gosh, it's going to be awesome. I think Bellinger is the future of the Giants. I think he will get an extension down the line. He's exactly what we needed, because they've been a little lost. I mean, it's been obvious, but I mean, even for me, I miss those old teams. When you watch back those Super Bowl documentaries from 2008, 2012, you miss seeing the chemistry on and off the field. You miss seeing the hard work and the grit that they had. And I don't think I've seen that in a very long time collectively from the whole team. Of course, there's certain players, but yeah, I think Bellinger is going to be a really key player here. So it's going to be very exciting. What did you ask me about the Yankees?
Oh,
What I like so far?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, Anthony Volpe.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are giving him the wrong criticism online.
Yeah.
You have to really just take a step back and look at what he's doing. He's 22 years old. Okay. He skipped over AAA.
Yeah.
People are not having that register in their mind. He has to make this growth, and mature. I mean, I don't think he has to mature
No.
anymore. I mean, especially off the field, he conducts his interviews so eloquently, very, very similar to Judge. And I just think maybe he'll go 0 for 3 right during a game. And then, like the other night, he hit the home run and it made all the difference. They won. So he's so reliable to me. I know he's made some errors in the field, but like what rookie isn't going to do that? He's having, everybody loves to compare him to Jeter. He's having an outstanding rookie season so far. Way different than Jeter's rookie season. Nobody remembers Jeter's rookie season because he's Derek Jeter, but he had a terrible rookie season. And you know, so they're very different people. I know they both have those Jersey roots and they're both shortstop for the Yankees, but they're very different people, I think. Obviously, both outstanding players. Anthony Volpe's so exciting to watch. He's so exciting to watch. And aside from him, Judge
Yeah,
continuing to I think I was a little nervous after the contract was signed. I was like, please don't mess up this year. Like just have everything go smoothly. And it has. I'm worried about his toe right now.
yeah,
But uh hopefully it's just a strain or something. I hope it's not broken. When I saw that, I think I saw Brian Hoke report it.
yeah,
That they were contemplating whether it was broken or not. Um, but I mean, he can come back from that anyways. I was disappointed that Stanton got hurt.
yeah.
And I've been a little disappointed in how LeMahieu's doing, but I have no doubt that LeMahieu could come back from it. Um, IKF.
IKF,
IKF.
he's been killing it ever since he moved to the outfield. He's been killing it.
That was it. That
Yeah.
was it. Maybe that was his answer to his career. He can have this outstanding rest of his career. I want I want little kids to know who he is
Hmm.
because he's going into spring training think he's a starting shortstop for the New York Yankees, and then everything just sort of uh flips on him, but in a good way. And it's hard probably for him to be in that position because Volpe's so likable. He's so likable and he's a great player. So he's probably looking at him like, well, you know what? Yeah, he deserves it. And that's what he said. But he didn't back down and wasn't going to settle for being cut or traded. And he went to Aaron Boone and he said, put me in the outfield because you have really no solid left fielder because it's like a rotating door in left field. So that's where he is, and I think it's great. He's
Yeah.
not diving and running the way that Bader does in center, and that's okay because he makes important catches. It's fine. I just think his mental toughness has been so outstanding this season, and on top of that, he's playing really well. He's hitting really well. I think maybe even better than this time last year. So that's been really exciting. And then just lastly, I won't talk too much, but Bader
Oh,
is
Vader.
perfect.
Yep,
He's perfect.
yep. He's
I I thought he was perfect in the playoffs last year. He did better than the so-called stars, Judge and because I think Judge struggled a little bit in the playoffs offensively. And Bader you have no worries with him
yeah.
in the field and up at bat. And he I think brings a lot to the dugout and to the clubhouse as well. So it's been
Yes.
really exciting.
Speaking of, I'll tell you a funny story actually. And when we cover Somerset and Scranton, we always get the rehab players to us, and so we had the opportunity. So in the last week, we had four of them with Tommy Canley coming here, DeSanton and Donaldson with us 2 times, and then I saw Donaldson with Scranton, and then we interviewed Canley, Stan, and Donaldson last week at Somerset before they went back. So it's kind of so we have so all the raw. I mean, it's up constantly up and down, and it seems like Bader loves Somerset. So I feel like we're gonna get Bader back again at Somerset for another rehab. So I feel like it's a revolving door, and like you said, and they need to call up Oswaldo Peraza because he's killing it right now in Scranton with the 10 home runs, and he deserves another opportunity. And I just love covering these teams because we get to see the player movement, and also we get to see the rehab players come to us. So
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I'm very excited. I know he didn't have a great outing recently, Canely, but
yeah,
I'm very, very happy that he's back, and I'm excited to see if he can improve going on this season. But yeah, and I just have like an interesting question in my mind because I was on a podcast recently called Diamond Diehards, and that's with Joe Rizzo as the host. And he
Yeah.
said, you know, I wonder if they're waiting to pick up Soto for left field.
Oh,
And I was like, well, maybe that'll answer why they do have a revolving door in left field. I always just thought it was because Stanton was supposed to be that
yeah.
other one, but they prefer to have him as DH. But you know, that's just a no. I'm like constantly thinking about that.
That's interesting.
So
Yeah,
it could
so
be a possibility.
I mean, I don't want to be honest. I feel like with another contract that's over, it's going to be a long contract. I don't like these long contracts anymore. And you can see it with Stanton, and now with the I mean, we already signed up Judge and then Garrett Cole, and then I feel like we need to stay away from these long contracts. I wouldn't mind having Soto, but still, we have a lot of minor league prospects that Jason Dominguez, watch out for him. I love him, covering him, and he's having a great season. And watch out for him. I think he should be the next wave of outfielders for the Yankees.
I'm very excited for him. I've been watching him the past few years too, and yeah, he's probably gonna do very well.
Yeah. And a couple more things here before we let you go. And tell our fans, what's it been like for you, especially being a woman in sports and the growth of women in sports? You see, like Becky Hammond getting a chance to coach WNBA, and hopefully we can get to see her to coach NBA pretty soon. But what's it like seeing the growth of um, women in sports, and Kim Yang with the Marlins being the Marlins GM too?
Yeah, with Kim Nang, she's very cool because she went to the high school right next to my town. So they put out a banner when she was given the position, and it was really cool. Yeah, I don't think it's very rare anymore to see a woman in the front office in a reporting position. I think it's very cool to watch everything happen because I think for women, they're in a different sort of position just in life because if you do want to get married and have kids, well, now I, for someone who wants that,
Yeah.
I have women to look up to who are in that position, like Sage Steele, Sam Ponder. They have like 3 kids there of each, and I can watch how they balance that. And I think that's really important because it is difficult to balance just in general for anybody, work and personal life. But to see women balance having kids and covering games while 7 months pregnant, and like Molly McGrath was doing that, covering the college football games and everything. And soon after, I don't know if it was soon after, it's like some big game, she had the baby and everything, and you know, took some time off. But I think that's really cool to watch because they're showing that it's possible,
Yeah.
and that's really huge. So I like that, and it's just not not in a negative way. Is it becoming easier? But it's more accepted to hear women talking sports, whether that's on the radio or on TV. So I'm really enjoying that, and seeing how everyone reports in their own unique way because everybody has a different style, conducts their interviews differently, and so yeah, I really like picking that apart.
Yeah, Laura. Speaking of babies, Laura Rutledge just had a baby. If you
I
saw,
know. I
like,
just saw the picture she posted.
yeah,
Jack, I think she
Jack.
named it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then yeah, I sent her congrats. But she all these women who had, like you just mentioned, Molly McGrath, having babies and taking time off, but they get right back to work after short. I mean, they want to take a short time off and then get right back to work, which is amazing
yeah.
to. This is crazy.
And sometimes they even bring the babies to the
Yeah,
games
yeah.
because you can do, you know, if they're little and everything. Maybe who Allison Williams, she has her mom go with her a lot to games, and she'll give the baby to her mom if she has to go on the field, and then she sits with him on the sideline or whatever. I think it's really cool, and I think it's really nice that executives are okay with that too.
Yeah, so tell our fans about your podcast, the dissection with Mulligan, and how often do you do your podcast, and what's it like to have that platform to share your stories or other people's stories when you have guests on like that?
Yeah, I cover both sports and music, and I do more so post a lot on social media and will just quite literally dissect a trade or a song, or whatever story that's going on. And in the past, I have had guests where I talk about their lives, their careers, and I just like hearing that side because I like covering really whatever I can. So if I talk by myself covering something and then I ask for an opinion from someone like a veteran in the industry, I like getting their take as well, and then just hearing what their journey's been like. So I kind of do have a little bit of everything in that sense where you're hearing someone else's story, but also getting their uh, experience and opinion on something as well. So I like doing a little bit of everything.
What was the most memorable guest you had on your podcast?
Mm. I tend to do the YouTube and podcast the same. So yeah, I'd say I know I talked about a few before. It's hard. I don't know. I just loved my conversation with Brian Hoke. I
Oh,
really did. Yeah, it was just and he just was so genuine. And I did also have an interview with TJ Hunt, who's
oh,
a
TJ. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was great. He was talking about how he's gotten into that, and he comes from a huge
Yeah.
baseball family, like New Jersey baseball ball royalty, and his dad used to be my teacher, so that was a really special interview. Yeah, it was one of my middle school teachers, and they're such nice people and they love baseball so much. So it was when you share a passion and a love for something, it's really nice to have a conversation about it and kind of just understand where each other's coming from.
Yeah. So do you have time for a few more fan questions?
Yeah,
Okay. So one of our fans wants to know if you didn't end up doing sports and music, what would you be doing now?
I'd probably write in some sort of form. um I always want to work in the bridal industry. Maybe I'd be either working at Kleinfeld's in the city on Say Yes to the Dress, or working for something like The Knot, which is a wedding company. They have like their own blog and everything. Maybe I'd be doing that. Um, let's see. Yeah, I always like thought about getting into being a cop maybe,
Cop.
but then I watch law enforcement shows and I'm like I can't take that. So maybe not. Yeah, I'd say that, or maybe sort of working in television somehow, in entertainment, like on an NBC or something. Yeah, I'd probably be doing that.
Here's another fan question. This is a good one, actually. What advice would you give to young girls now?
I would say stay off of social media as much as you possibly can. I know that it's vital for like the two of us, because now reporters are reporting on Twitter, and that's where, like this morning, my phone was blowing up because the PGA just
Yeah.
merged with Live Golf,
Yeah.
and that was huge. And people were, hearing about that on Twitter. And then you started getting like Colin Marikawa, he tweeted that he was not informed of that information. So then that spurs another story all on Twitter. So, I know that it's vital for some professions.
Yeah.
And I know that it's hard, especially depending on your age, to not be on social media. Like my sister's in high school and she's really not on social media, but a lot of her classmates are. And so she always asks, like, can I get Instagram? And I just don't think that's a good idea. It's so terrible for young girls' self-esteem because you're constantly comparing. I mean, I compare myself all the time, but it's just terrible when you're that young. I'd say stay off of social media as much as you can, or make sure you're following the right people, and paying attention and putting your energy into the right types of content, because it can really take over your life in a negative way. So I'd say that, and I'd say read a lot,
Mhm.
depending on whatever your interests are, whether it is sports or not. I think reading is vital because you can't trust everything on the internet. There's a lot of great content creators who do have great information, but I love just going and read whatever you want. I mean, I think reading in some people's minds is irrelevant and unnecessary, and I know that some people think that books are going to be gone within 20 years, but I hope that they're not. I'm like one of those people who don't want newspapers to go out of business. I love a physical newspaper. I love a physical book. Because then again, I mean, I could talk about this all day, but it's terrible to have your eyes in
Yeah.
front of a screen so consistently. That's going to create problems for you down the road, and with your vision and everything. So just sit and relax and get a book, because no matter what, if it's a fiction book, you're still going to learn something. You're going to expand your vocabulary. You're going to maybe find a new interest or something. I personally love historical fiction, so I love reading about those types of books. And I would just say, yeah, to young girls, just try to understand that you are your own person. Know that you deserve respect from anybody and everybody, and focus on things that you enjoy. Maybe your friends don't enjoy it, but you do. So just go with that, because you might not be friends with them your whole entire life. And that's okay too. So just, put your energy into important things that you like. So stop comparing yourself on social media, maybe pick up a book, and just do what makes you happy, because I think when you're young, you tend to do what other people like more, so just so that you fit in. And I don't think it's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we'll take one more fan question before you go. And they want to know, do you have any bloopers and what's your nickname?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot of bloopers. um there was one time, I think it was with Bryce Wasserman. I was still recording by accident, and I thought I deleted the recording. I don't know what I thought I was doing, but it captured my face just drop, because I thought I lost the whole interview. And yeah, that I mean, it's funny now, but it wasn't great in the moment. I'd say, what, another blooper. I have a lot of bloopers, especially from college, like on the TV station. I think I said some not off color things when they were recording, but I would say something that made some people laugh or whatever. I don't know, but I didn't know we were recording already. And I think I was talking about some baseball player's attitude once, and I just said it off the cuff
Mm.
during the show, and it made my co-hosts laugh, because they weren't expecting that, because you're supposed to be very official and everything up on the desk. And I said, I hate his attitude, I think he's a baby or whatever. And they were like, oh, all right. And then, so that was funny too. And then you said nicknames for myself. um Not really. I feel like my name is too short to have a nickname. My grandma will say it as a joke sometimes. She'll just say error. And then she emphasizes the R. She said, my mom calls me Boo. My dad calls me Hun. Some people have called me Mully. I got that a couple times in high school. Yeah, Mully is probably the most consistent one. But I just feel like my name's too short. It's 4 letters. I'm like, what are you gonna make from it? But
Well,
yeah, that's about it.
hey, but Erin Mulligan, thank you for joining today. It was truly an honor to learn more about you and your story. You're amazing. And thank you to our fans for the amazing fan questions today for her. Keep up the great work. And where can our fans find you on social media?
So let me bring it up right now, because I always say the wrong username. So on Instagram, I'm Erin_Mulligan 23. And on Twitter, I am Erin. Oh, I'm the same on Instagram and Twitter. So Erin_Mulligan 23. And then on Facebook, I do post everything that I post on Twitter on Facebook. I know not everybody uses it, but you could just search my name, Erin Mulligan. And then on TikTok, I am the same thing as Instagram and Twitter. Oh, I'm very surprised at myself that I was. So yeah, that's the most consistent one. And then on Instagram for the dissection, it is at the dissection official. And Twitter, because I had a problem with them not accepting the username I was trying, it's at dissection the. So
Okay.
it's just reverse. That's on Twitter.
And also let our fans know, what do you have coming up next?
So I'm hoping to have a blog post done about the merging of PGA and LIV, because I'm very, very passionate about that. I know a lot of people have different opinions on it. I'm a big golf fan. So I'm hoping to have a blog post up about that. And then I'm just trying to revamp the entire website, the entire brand right now. And because I'm not the most tech savvy, but I'm trying. And so I'm hoping to have everything just completely revamped within the month.
Oh, and then I'll send you Sasha's page, so you can
Yes.
look at that. And then once her album releases June 13th, then that'd be a good story for you for your music blog.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you.
Anytime. And like I said, thank you again. You're really inspiring. I love your work. Since you're in Jersey, we got to meet up in person one day and cover a game together or something, or do a broadcast or a podcast, live podcast too, because I come back from Florida June 25th. So I'll hit you up and let me know. We can do something like a live podcast somewhere in North Jersey or wherever you where or near where you live. So we can do something like that.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. So
You know,
thank you.
Jersey's
Oh,
pretty small, so we could do
oh
it.
yeah. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, a lot of areas where we can do the live podcast or cover a game. So yeah, but thank you again, Erin, and keep up the great work. And our team should have this out by tonight or
Sounds
later. I think tonight they should have it out. But thank you again, and have a great day. And like I said, keep up the great work, and everybody should know more about Erin Mulligan. Amazing story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you.